what a time to be filming an Hermes update. I've had this bag for about 6 months now. I got it in November, and so I wanted to make an update, tell you how it's been going, what I've learned, if I still really like it. And it just so happens that there has been a lot of Hermes talk online recently. A few big name influencers are selling off their bags. They're saying they're hopping off the train. They don't want any more to do with such expensive luxuries. For some, it's like a safety concern. Others, I think people have learned maybe they got into it for the wrong reasons. It's just a variety of perspectives all around this very hyped bag. So I want to share some things that I've learned, some perspectives like on the safety concerns, because I do live in Baltimore now. How I use my things has drastically changed since moving here. So let's get into it. I want to tell you a couple things first because I can foresee them being common questions. Firstly, I got this bag in November of last year. I was working for my essay a little bit less than a year before I was offered this particular bag. I simply told them what kind of silhouette I liked, what size I liked, and I was very, very open to color and to hardware. My response to the hardware question was, if it looks good with that leather, like, I'm cool with it. I didn't want Epsom leather. I didn't want the Celeste version. I wanted something soft and slouchy, and when this color came in, my essay thought I might like it, and then I accepted it. Secondly, I have no idea what my pre-spend was. I'm sorry, I know that is a very common question. I've been asked a few times on Instagram, but I have no idea. I think I've shared pretty much everything I purchased, and I am going to make a full Hermes collection video. I'll clarify in that video what I bought prior to receiving my Kelly, because I've continued to buy things, and this is just my perspective. I said this in my unboxing video, but I personally wouldn't get hung up on pre-spend. This has never ever been confirmed by Hermes, and I don't think we're ever going to hear that. I don't think they are ever going to say, well, you need to spend X number of dollars to get the bag you want. I just try to stay out of that hearsay and drama surrounding Hermes, but I am going to share with you everything that I've purchased, so if you like, you can kind of put things together from that. I have no idea if it was one-to-one, and I simply bought the things I loved. I love their scarves, I like their SLGs, I clearly love their bags. I think they're just beautiful. They're different, I love the colors. That's simply my approach. I understand why some people can get really frustrated and a little bit bitter around the brand because maybe their essay misled them, saying, well, I need to prove to my manager that you're a real fan, and it would help maybe if you were buying from other departments. I'm sure that happens, and I understand why those people end up frustrated. Just for me, I don't even want to think about it. And if I'm not offered a bag at the end of the year, whatever. Honestly, I just want to go about buying the things I like, and I think it's important to like control the narrative in your head. Does that make sense to everybody? Like, I think it's just important to protect your mental space, tell yourself whatever you need to just have a good experience, right? And I'm simply going to buy the things I like and just not be that fussed about. Maybe the bag's gonna come in, maybe it's not. That's all. That's all I wanted to say regarding pre-spend. Now, I feel like it would be impossible to make this video if I didn't address some of the safety concerns surrounding Hermes, Chanel, big name luxury brands, because I know that's influenced people to sell them on. This is something that Lydia Elise Millen specifically addressed. She didn't want to be a target for theft, either out on the street or in the home. She talked about specifically turning her bag around when she was out in London and things like that. And I do sympathize with this perspective. I've lived in a number of different cities. So right outside DC, I've lived in Providence, Rhode Island, I've lived in Philly, I've lived in West Philly, I've lived in Center City, I've been around Northern Liberties, I have lived in the suburbs of New Jersey. With living in Providence, I went up to Boston a ton. I have spent a significant amount of time in New York. I studied there when I was in college briefly, and then just going in and out. So I love cities. I'm definitely a city girl, but there are some cities, for example, Baltimore, Philly, where I've had some bad experiences. I understand someone just kind of rolling through the odds in their head and wanting to not attract attention. It's of course never anyone's fault if someone does something bad for them. Like, we know that, I know that. But I understand not wanting to draw attention to yourself. So when it comes to this bag, I don't wear it around Baltimore. I would never ever wear it around Philly. And I have experiences that have led me to those opinions. I'll share a little bit about that in a second. But for example, I am treated very, very differently around Baltimore if I am alone or out with my husband, Ben. And like, Ben is, 6 foot, he's a big guy. Like, no one ever bothers us when we're out together. If I'm alone, oh my God, I cannot leave this apartment. Oh, hey, Stinky. Hey, buddy. I cannot leave this apartment without being bothered on the street, harassed on the street, catcalled. I had a really similar experience in Philly. There were some, I'm not trying to start this video like all doom and gloom here, but I just want to explain how much I'm using this bag and where I'm using it. I'd love to hear if you can relate to any of this, maybe if this has impacted your wanting to get the bag, how you use it. But like, when I was in Philly, I had people put their hands on me in the street. I've had things thrown at me from cars. Now, this is a very, very small percentage of my times going out and about, walking around town. But with being in Baltimore, I've noticed that if I wear more sporty clothes, my more tomboy clothes, I'm bothered less. If I wear anything remotely feminine, old guys are yelling at me from their cars, like, every single time. And I just don't want to deal with that. So, how I do use this bag. I actually took it out to DC just this past weekend. I was with Ben. I personally wasn't concerned about it at all. And Maryland is a beautiful state. I'm a Maryland girl. There's Old Bay in my veins. I love Maryland. And there are so many beautiful suburbs and other cities throughout Maryland. So I have taken this when I've been driving. I should clarify, when I am in Baltimore and Philly, I'm just walking, I'm using public transit. So that's a really big difference. If I'm driving out to one of the local suburbs in Maryland or going to Annapolis or DC, I will carry this alone. In DC, I like the comfort of my husband. I like having him around. It's one less thing to think about. But I did take this out. We were out for a full day in the sun. We walked maybe like 4 miles in total. I know we got like over 15,000 steps. So we're moving around. I've got a full day's worth of stuff in here, sunglasses, wallet, and it was a good bag to use. So that's how I have been using it. But I absolutely understand people being concerned about being a target. I think there's a couple things that go into that. Of course, really big name influencers, they have gone through a lot, okay? They have been stalked. They've had people try to find out where their families live. It's nuts, and I totally understand them just saying, nope, I'm done. I want my quiet life with my horses and my chickens, and I'm done. I get it. I really, really do. I love bags. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about them in 10 years. We'll see. But I've also gone through changes with my clothes, with my preferences. I just want to have a good time, right? I'm now in my 30s. I want to be comfortable. And fortunately, I do have opportunities to use this and be comfortable. I love that I can wear it with sneakers. That's a really big thing for me. I like that I can still go out on long walks with my husband and use this. It doesn't just have to be reserved for a nice dinner out bag. In fact, I don't even think I would use this when going out to dinner, because where am I gonna put it? I like bags that can just sit quietly in my lap. My Chanel reissue, one of my favorite going out to dinner bags. My vintage clutches, favorite bags. This, I don't know. It's just not the one I would use. Now, if I was spending the full day out, going for a meal, of course it works. When we were in DC, I was able to have it in the booth next to me. But I felt protective of it. And that's something that surprised me. I didn't know how protective I would feel about it. And I did feel very aware of how quickly, not how quickly, but how close people would walk next to me on the sidewalk. Sometimes people would be like swinging these big tote bags or duffel bags, and I just like would quickly like shift my bag to the side because I didn't want it to get rubbed against. Like, I do feel a lot more aware of my surroundings when I'm carrying this bag. I want to talk next about the practicality of this bag. Now, I do have a size 25 in Swift leather. It is this beautiful Celeste bright blue, but Swift leather is a little bit fussy. I told you about my trip into DC, so I can use this for a full day out. It carries everything I need, such as like a small wallet, my phone, sunglasses. You can also fit a cosmetic pouch in here. You could fit reading glasses in addition to all that if you needed them. It's like pretty sizable. But with it being Swift leather, it is definitely more delicate. I do have a teeny little mark right here on the corner. I got this my very first day out. Now, it is barely noticeable. Anyone looking at this bag is not going to see it, but I'm fairly careful with it. I do usually have the shoulder strap attached, and I'll switch between it being on my shoulder, carrying it handheld, carrying it in the crook of my arm. I was just switching it all over the place for that one day out, just depending like what was convenient for what we were doing, if I was holding Ben's hand or not, were we in a crowded area of the city. So there are a lot of options, and I did wear this against very light, well-washed denim, but I am aware of how delicate the Swift is. Another thing I wanted to address, and this answers Lula West Lux's question. She's a good friend of mine. I'll have her channel link below. I'm sure you know it already though. She asked on Instagram what surprised me most about this bag. And it's kind of funny because I didn't know much about using this bag before getting it. I tried it on one time in store, and I saw a picture of it years ago and was like, I am going to have a Kelly one day. I love this bag. It is so beautiful. It's like the epitome of elegance, but it's also kind of cool. Specifically this slouchy version. I'm not as into the Celeste one, but I thought this was the most beautiful bag I had ever seen. So quite a few things surprised me. One, I was surprised by how much I wanted to baby it, because I think I'm pretty relaxed with my things. I have finally learned I want to use them, but I felt very protective of this. That's probably just because of the price and the Swift leather. I was also very surprised by how fussy it is to get in and out. Maybe I should not have been surprised by this, but I realized that you can only fill it up so high, because so you have this beautiful accordion with like the woven little, what are these called, sangles, like the woven little straps right there. But the more you fill this up, the harder it is to get in and out. You gotta get this little nose through, and of course it's harder to do sitting down and like holding it up, but you gotta get this little guy through the slot. It's a bit fussy. Also, the fact that this doesn't always want to sit perfectly centered, and it takes some effort to do the full thing up. So that definitely surprised me. For some reason, I thought the Kelly would be easier than the Birkin, but I think most people just leave the Birkin fully open. I am very much a Kelly girl. I like the size, I like the shoulder strap option. That's really all that goes into it. It's just an aesthetic preference. I think the Birkin is really nice, and I can't offer any more advice than that. Like, just get the one you'll love the look of. But I liked that this fully closed. I think closing it fully is easier than fully closing the Birkin, but if you are a tote girl, probably the Birkin will work out. So that's what surprised me the most, just how it's a bit fussy. It's fussier than I appreciated going into it. And that leads me to something else I want to share. I would definitely get another one, but if I did, it would be a darker leather, and I would want like a togo or some kind of pebbly, squishy leather. I would totally go for something like a togo, or is Berenia one. I think they have like a goat. I like the ones with texture, veining. I like seeing some of the imperfections in the leather. Yeah, just some of like the different striations in them. I think I would go for a darker color with just a lot more character to the leather, whether that's in like pebbling or however it is, and then I would treat that a little bit more casually. Before I get too distracted, I want to answer the next question I received on Instagram, and this is from my good friend Gwenny from Style by Gwenny. Again, I'll have her channel link below, but you must know Lula and Gwenny. They're amazing. And she asked, does this grocery store? And oh boy. Okay, so I have this entirely made up system of will it grocery store, because this is something I think about for my handbags, and I really appreciate you, Gwenny, asking this, because it's such a good rating for practicality. Now, I mostly work from home, and I love shopping of all sorts. That includes going to the grocery store. I even have my own grocery store cart that I keep in the trunk of my car. It's amazing. I get questions about it all the time, and a lot of like, you know, side eye as I'm going through, but it's just another opportunity for me to be creative. I love cooking. I love just getting inspired walking through. I love coupons. Okay, like I love going to the grocery store. And because that is one of my main opportunities to dress up, I think about what bag I'm gonna use a lot now. Oh, Gwenny. This handbag, she does not grocery store. She doesn't. She really doesn't. Like I said, there's a made up system, and right now I think it kind of is a rating system between 0 and 5 or 1 and 5. And I have to give my particular bag a 1. Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, she only gets a 1. And that's because of the color. It's because of the Swift leather. With it being on my shoulder, it's going to be swinging back and forth as I'm like bending over to put things in my cart, getting things from lower shelves. So it's not the bag you want to have if you're going to have wet hands or be moving around. But if it were a darker color, if it were a pebbled leather, or if perhaps you have like the Cellier Epsom one, I think that would hold up better. If it was a totally different type of bag, like nothing like mine at all, like if it was kind of like the bag I want to eventually have, that's on my wish list right now, I suppose that would bump it up to a 3, but that's as high as we can go. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about this bag, and I would actually love your help with this. Now, I do not have a liner for this bag. I've considered the Zimone one. What is it, like the 7RP? I can't remember what the name of it is, but the really expensive one. Ooh, I have looked at those. They're really pricey, and I understand why. I know that they're well made, and they're thinking like, hey, you just spent thousands on a handbag, like maybe shell out a bit more to protect it. I get it, but I can't do it. I can't. And I am a big fan of Zimone. I have a couple other organizers, and they've served me well, but if you do have any recommendations, I'm very open to hearing from them. Oh, I am gonna watch after this Fuchsia Floyd's video, because I think she just put out a video regarding her Birkin and comparing silk and felt liners. So given that I have the 25, I'm leaning towards a silk liner. I think they provide less structure and support for like the walls of the bag, but I think I'm okay with that. I've heard that Swift, it will break down over time. It will start to slouch, so you should probably protect it. I do protect the inside. Like, I would never just chuck my keys into this bag. I always put them into a little pouch, either cosmetic pouch or just like a freebie cloth pouch that I've received. And it does have a zippered compartment. I wanted to mention this because it has this slot in the front. It just has a slip compartment in the front, and I've never used this, honestly. I think they could get rid of it. I think it just takes away from the space inside this bag. But I'd love your opinion on liners, because I'm leaning towards getting a silk one, but I'm very open. Something I did already purchase is this liner from Hermes. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I was asking my SA if they have any kind of pouches, anything to protect the inside. She said that they had just received these, and this is my fault. I shouldn't have bought it right then. I should have brought my Kelly in. Based on the dimensions, it technically should have fit, because it is a bit smaller across the top and the bottom, but it does not fit very well. I can get it in if I like really scrunch these up, but once it's in there, you can't access these outer compartments whatsoever. So, you know, you could say, well, you can still put stuff in there, and you can, but because this top is pretty bulky, I mean, you have the leather tabs, you have these drawstrings, and this is a pretty like thick cotton. Because this is really bulky up top and then fills out this space on the bag, it becomes much harder to close. As I was saying, when you're filling this up, the more you stack up here, the more that this gets pushed out, like with these angles, like the harder it is to do up. So I've never once put this into the bag and actually used it. This wasn't the best purchase, however, I am telling myself that it will be useful in a Kelly 28. I'm putting that out into the universe. I've already said that is on my wish list. So I'm hoping to get to use it then. Oh, actually, what is this? No, it just says Hermes Paris, made in France. I was wondering what this little code on here, I'm not sure what this is about, but it says KAU001MM. I'm not sure what that is about, but I can't use this in my bag as it is, but I can use it in my Bottega. So that's why, like, not the best purchase. It's the only Hermes purchase that I've made where I'm like, yeah, probably not the best idea, because everything there is pretty pricey, but I have been able to use this in my Bottega Jodie bags. It has definitely helped, because those things are like dark pits inside because I have the dark blue space color and the fondant. So this lightens things up a lot. It gives some compartments on the outside, way better with those bags. So yeah, not the best, but I've made it work because it's not like I could return it. But it's just something I wanted to mention because hypothetically it should get to fit in the Kelly 25, but it definitely doesn't. Before I wrap this up, I just want to tell you my current wish list. So I've mentioned the Kelly 28, but I have no idea when that's going to come in, if it comes in. And much like my approach with this bag, I'm just really not thinking about it. I'm focused on having a good time, getting what I like, connecting with people. I did pick up a petite H item not that long ago, and I would totally get something else. I'm not sure if I actually showed that on YouTube, but I did share it on Instagram. It was the waistcoat, and I'll talk more about that in another video, but I would totally get something else from the petite H line. The next big purchase I'm probably going to make is a Lindy 26. Again, not sure when it's going to come in, but I've put that on my wish list, and my SA is optimistic about when it'll come in, like, and how easily it'll be for her to get. So I would love to get a darker Lindy 26. Most of my bags are quite bright, but I just want something really practical that I can throw around, wear any day, just have it on my shoulder. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then just a scarf ring, and then probably a scarf or two throughout the year. That's really it. I'm totally down to try their shoes out. We'll see. You know, I just love to go there and be inspired. I'm so into the petite H items now. Those you can't get in store through your SA, except just ordering them online and like having them shipped to store. That you can do, but I think it still is just part of your online profile. Again, when it comes to the quota bags and things kind of like feeding into that system, I have no idea how true it is, and I just, if there's something I can't confirm, I just don't worry about it. It's not worth the mental gymnastics, the stress, kind of like creating a mountain out of a molehill. Like, no, I'm not gonna do it. So I have no idea if ordering things online impacts that, but it doesn't matter. I love the petite H stuff. I like the creativity. I love some of the capes that they do. I like that you have no idea what you're gonna get, but you can still return them. So it's not this huge gamble, but it's fun. It's like Christmas morning, right? You get to unwrap it. I loved having no idea what color waistcoat I was gonna get. And I could return it, so it was risk-free, but it was just fun. It gave me an opportunity to fall in love with something that I wouldn't have necessarily picked it for myself, because it's kind of a like duck egg blue. I'm starting to ramble here, but that wraps up my wish list. I hope this was fun. I would love to know if you have any questions, anything I haven't covered regarding like the practicality of this bag, but it's, you know, it's been fun for me to use, and I think I'm gonna get the most use out of it in spring and fall, less so in the summer and winter, because I just tend to lean more into like sporty, really casual clothes. But spring and fall, those are like that's my time to really dress up and play with colors. So thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. It's always something, right? Like, oh, Stinky has a lot of opinions about this. I've been struggling to film all week because we've had just thunderstorms off and on. I film in natural light, and of course I also work a full-time job, and I finally find a moment and Stinky wants to cry his head off. That's just